You can walk if you need to.
Yeah, you can walk if you need to. So, what do you think is the most pressing environmental issue in the area?
I mean, in the area and really the whole world is just habitat destruction.
Yeah.
You know, we keep taking it over, wanting to build more houses and sprawl. So, you know, our ever-encroaching footprint
Of the human race
Yeah.
in general. What do you think is the best way to deal with the habitat destruction? Best way to stop it?
we need to build up and use what we have. You know, stick within damaged areas already. You know, there's huge parts of the world that have already been converted to, be once used as farmland that's otherwise disturbed and now abandoned. That's being underutilized as, fallow land that could be repurposed. But we like the more temperate regions and prettier areas for views, and we attack that. Yeah.
So, how biologically diverse is the area of Placerita around here?
I mean, we've got several different habitat types. From we've got California's hugely diverse. With 27,000 plant species. We've got great abundance. We've got one of the largest bird populations in the world here in LA County. Yeah.
I did not know that. How do you think the biodiversity helps the area in terms of keeping it all running?
It definitely helps us. Takes a while longer to see problems develop, because we've got other animals willing to fill in the gaps. So, we don't have, one top of the food chain. We've got a couple different guys who will slide in and take some, slack.
Alright. How much does the climate fluctuate between the seasons in the area?
I mean, we'll be down below freezing. This winter, I came in and it was 22 degrees. And we actually had a pipe in the tortoise grotto there burst. And then we'll be maybe 115 this summer. And so,
how do you think that affects the animals of the area, the wildlife, plant life?
It definitely makes them struggle as far as what they can and can't find. Compounded by the fact that this year is so much drier than fifth on record. Which sounds kind of big, but in the grand scheme of things, we've had drier years.
Yeah.
And our records go back 150 years.
Yeah.
100 years. So fifth in 100 years is big, but it's not drastic.
Yeah.
And so, they're used to feast and famine, and they make stores, like these guys, they store up a gallon of water. A gallon of water in him. That's kind of hard to imagine.
Yeah.
But, they prepare.
How do you think the activities of the park and everyone hiking the trails, other human activities affect the wildlife around here?
It has pluses and minuses. It brings awareness to people who wouldn't otherwise see what's out here, but there are impacts. We bring trash, we bring dogs, we hurt as well.
So are there any invasive species in the area that we kind of don't want here?
Yeah. I mean, we have plants. We've got tamarisk. We've got, it's probably our harder one that we've battled.
How does that affect the environment?
A common name for that one's salt cedar, and it sucks up a lot of water One plant can suck up 300 gallons of water a day and transpires that into the environment. So it dries up streams faster. And then it's named salt cedar. It also chemically fights other plants, if you will, by making higher concentrations of salt in the soil. So it's a twofold effect there. We've got all kinds of weeds. All the grasses that you see out there are non-native. Various brome species. Plants. You basically think of what this looked like before Columbus and what it looks like now, and there's hundreds.
So we were talking about before about what invasive species were, but how do you think are some of the best ways to deal with them? Kind of gradually remove them from the environment.
Yeah, when it comes to plant species, it's, to do it delicately and not harm the other plants is very labor intensive, and unfortunately, there's just not enough money in it to remove them. So for plants, some of them we have to dig, and like tamarisk, you have to dig out all the roots. If there's any root left, it's coming back. So you could dig an 8-foot hole in a riverbed full of rocks, only to have it sprout back in 2-3 years. And so, some herbicides work, but then you're introducing chemicals, and could have further complications with other plants that are killed. As far as invasive species, it depends on the species and where it is, and the house sparrow. If you've got a bird feeder, guarantee you can see one in a week. They're just everywhere. They're ubiquitous, and you can trap them, sure, but they're never really going to go anywhere. And then we've got other birds that are, a little more troubling. The cowbird actually lays its egg in other birds' nests, and it's a bigger bird, so it grows up faster and ends up pushing out the other birds.
I think I heard about that.
Yeah, and so mom and dad bird aren't the best of parents. Like, oh, baby, I'll feed you. Oh, you're 3 times my size. I'll still feed you. And, it raises on up. So there are trapping efforts, but it's, not enough. And, I've done other efforts with aquatic invasives, where it's trapping, it's killing, it's relocating, and, where there's water, especially, we get all kinds of invasive species.
So in the past 30 years, the Santa Clarita and Placerita areas have gotten a lot more populated with humans than before. And I was wondering how much has the environment changed since these past 30 years?
30 years ago we had farmland, and that, I don't think there's, Lombardi Ranch is as close as we get to it, where they have, 200 acres that they farm out, maybe more. But, we have much more people. Our water consumption, I don't even want to know how many times more water we're drinking. And, some of that comes from wells, so we're depleting aquifers. Well, ideally, we are managing our aquifers so we're not depleting them, but
who knows how much of that is actually?
Yeah, studies need to be done. That science needs to get stronger.
Yeah.
And we don't want to drink ourselves dry. But, like Palm Springs. Palm Springs, middle of the desert. They drink so much water and water their lawns and golf courses and all that so much. Palm Springs is sinking a foot a year because the water is being pulled out. From under them. Yeah. And so that's going to, at some point, the infrastructure is really just going to implode because too much consumption.
along with those environment changes, how have the wildlife and plant life been affected by the increase in population?
They have to compete more for food and places to live, and it's tough. You know, some of the plant species, especially, are very, very special. They live in only a few square miles of the world. That's it. You know, we've got the stickleback, you know, the unrestricted stickleback, fish in the Santa Clara River. You know, it's the only place in the world this watershed is found. And so, yeah, and every development along the river further threatens it. And so, you know, it always hurts.
Yeah.
We try to tell ourselves we're doing our best and minimizing it, but you know, it still hurts.
Have any animals actually gone extinct? Any species gone extinct over the past 30 years that you know of?
In the last 30 years,
Or recently?
I mean, you know, my go-to for that is always our state flag. We've got a California grizzly on that flag, and they were all killed. Granted, the last one was killed 1918, 1920, I forget. But, you know, that was something, that species is extinct already. And, you know, we have others that are, you know, on the precipice. You know, like the California condor has bounced back, but, you know, at, I think, 150, 160 wild birds, that's nowhere close to a recovery.
Yeah.
And we're raising as many condors in captivity as possible. You know, I think there's 500 or so condors total in the world, with 160 or so in the wild. You know, so that was probably the one closest to extinction. But, yeah, as far as something that's gone extinct in the last 30 years here locally, you know, we absolutely have species that are extirpated, which means they're no longer found here, but are found elsewhere. Yeah, more or less.
So speaking of animals in captivity, were all the animals here found around in the Placerita area?
From Southern California, yeah. I mean, like, all our birds are non-releasable, injured. So, like Lady Hawk here, she can't fly. She has wing damage to the right wing, and so, like, you know, that's why we have the different perches, so she can jump around, and that's all she can do. You know, other animals are imprinted onto us as humans, so they, you know, and what that means when someone says they're imprinted, they don't know they're a bird, so they would seek out a human as a mate. And so we absolutely see courting behavior from some of our animals who would seek us out as a mate, you know, because they're imprinted to us. And so we have other birds in the back that are imprinted. And all our taxidermy, that's, you know, roadkill. We don't hunt for anything. We have some pieces that were hunted and donated to us, but, you know, we don't, you know, like the grizzly bear that we have in the classroom, that was hunted in the 20s. And, you know, passed down through the family until someone said, I don't want it anymore. And we'll gladly display a grizzly bear because we're not going to get it. Yeah. I think I finished that one.
Yeah. How much has pollution affected the area around Placerita? It's kind of tricky one to measure out.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Like, there's nothing that I could quantify or any studies that I could reference to state how we have been hurt or how we've been improved. I mean, I know, you know, over my lifetime, the air quality has gotten worse. you know, probably when you went through elementary school, did you have any smog days where you didn't do PE?
Yeah, some smoke days, some fires.
Yeah, like when I went through elementary school, we couldn't have PE, we couldn't play on the playground because of smog. And so, you know, we have gotten better in that regard. And that's, you know, through, you know, our increasing stringency on vehicles and our clean air requirements.
So to wrap up this interview, if you had one piece of advice to give to my fellow students and the students of next year about anything about the environment, what would it be?
It really is. Study the environment, you know, because, you know, with that study, we will appreciate it. And with that appreciation, we'll fight for it. If we see a forest on TV, oh, that's nice. That's forest. You don't understand the forest. You don't respect the forest. And, you know, that's one of the stronger fears in the environmental community is there's a separation from nature, and, you know, people are losing respect. They're losing passion for it. You know, unless you're out here hiking it, enjoying it, forget about it. And, you know, then all of a sudden